Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome. Welcome to Invisible Condition. It's not all in your head. I'm your host, Jeff Pearson, and we want everybody with an invisible condition to know beyond the shadow of a doubt that you do have a voice, you do have a community, and you are not alone. And speaking of not alone, I have a great guest today that I can't wait for you to meet. Alex is here, and I met... it's amazing to me how random sometimes you meet somebody. It's random, but it's not random. You know what I mean? And we met through another podcast, another show that I was on, and that he happened to be on at the same time. And it was just awesome. So I was like, man, I need to get the word out about this guy. He's really cool. So he is here to share his experience with Chiari Malformation, which, if you remember, way back last year in like May, we had a guy named Charlie Stivers that was talking about his daughter that had Chiari. And so it's been a while since we've talked about this, so I'm excited. So he's going to talk about Chiari Malformation, chronic pain, brain surgery, all the things that go with that. And but it's funny because Alex, of course, obviously didn't let the challenges of Chiari stop him. He's now studying psychology at NYU and supporting himself as an insurance agent, which, I mean, it's living in New York City. Like, that's brave enough. I'm pretty impressed. So good on you, man. Here we go. Let's bring him on and get this show on the road here. Thanks for being here, Alex. I appreciate it, man. Good to see you.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate. I'm happy to be here.
This is cool. And so you're in New York City, yes?
Yes. Right. This apartment that I'm sitting in right now is down in Chinatown.
Chinatown. All right, man. You know what? You've already got me impressed. Just living in New York City that's pretty good, man. I've been to the city, and you're more power to you. It's awesome. How do you like it? Is it good? It's a good city?
I love it. I grew up pretty close to here, but I actually never went. I grew up in Westchester, so about an hour north of the city. Nice. And I had always wanted to come here, and I always wanted to visit. I might have gone to a Rangers game or like a basketball game, but I'd really never been. And then all of a sudden, I moved up here for school, and I've just since fallen in love with the city. There's something to do every weekend, and it's really an incredible experience being here.
It's so cool. I can't wait to get out. I can't wait to get back, man. It's been almost 30 years since I've been there, so I would love to come back and check it out. I'm sure obviously it's huge. It's just gotten bigger, so but it's a pretty cool town. So well, all right, let's kick things off here, man. You have a story that is pretty cool. You have Chiari Malformation 1.5, which is what you told me, and it kind of confused me at first when you threw the 1.5 in there. Can you just talk about that for a second? Like, what Chiari Malformation is one thing, but then there's 1.5, 2. Is there what's the deal there?
So I'll be honest, I'm not an expert on this. Back when I had the surgery, I think that was about 6 or so years ago. I kind of became an expert in it for a little bit, and so pretty much what a Chiari is so you have your brain, you have your skull, and
Yes.
at the base of your skull there's a hole that and going through that hole is spinal fluid and all the things that connect your brain to the rest of your body.
Yep.
So what happens with Chiari is your brain is too large for your skull, so it starts to fill that hole, which obviously is not good. And so the different denominations of a Chiari are the different parts of your brain that are going down into that hole. So I don't recall the exact names of the part of my brain that are going down, but it's the real big factor that determines the severity of a Chiari is the length, the number of millimeters.
Gotcha.
It ranges anywhere from 3 to 12 is sort of the conventional, or sorry, 3 to 15 is the conventional rating system. Mine was 18, and it just it kind of is what it is.
All right. Wow. Okay. Well, see, I learned something new already. See, you're good, man. Don't worry. So guys out there, everybody watching, if anybody has questions about Chiari, about anything with that, if you know something like, hey, wait a sec, that's what that's called. I know somebody with that. If you have questions or anything like that, chime in, man. If Alex can't answer it, maybe I can. If I can't, maybe we'll reach out to Charlie that was on the show back last year. I don't know. Maybe we can all come together and collaborate and answer it for you. So if you have questions, don't be shy. Reach out through Facebook or LinkedIn or wherever you happen to be watching the show, and glad to help you if we can. So Alex, can you tell us how did there's pain, obviously. You've experienced some pain, just like me, when there's something in your head that's not getting along well with others, how did that pain, until they figured it out and did the surgery, how did that affect? That had to affect your daily life, activities, like how did that go?
So there was really three main effects that having the Chiari had for me growing up, right? It was obviously the pain. It was kind of the tips of my fingers never really felt right. I just kind of assumed, like once again, you have to realize I did not find out about this until I was 12 or 13 years old. So the first portion of my life, I kind of thought all this stuff was normal. And the third thing that I was just talking about was coordination. I was the most uncoordinated person you've ever met. Like we would be playing football in our front yard, and my brother would throw perfect spiral right into and it would go wide. And it's like I didn't realize that any of the things that I had were genuine problems, because when I would work out too hard and my head would start to hurt, it was no pain, no gain, right? It's supposed to. You're supposed to work until it hurts. When I would sneeze and I would move my head rapidly, because the whole thing is quick motions and built up motions. So quick motions, sneezing, turning your head rapidly, any of that kind of thing. And built up motions are kind of what I was talking about before. As you work out, or even just having like a long continuous day, the pressure starts to build up in your head. So I would just assume, I have a headache. That's kind of the normal approach to or that's the normal response to having a long day, is your head's supposed to hurt. So I can't put a specific definition on sort of how it affected me, because it didn't really feel like it did. It just felt like it was normal to have pain. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I can totally identify with that. I knew what I had. I was very familiar with what I was living with, and I still, probably because I just didn't have a lot of complications growing up. Up until about age 36, it was a non-event, really. I had 3 brain surgeries between birth and 36, but really they were just kind of a non-event. I know it sounds weird to say, but everything went well after them, before them, after them. And so, it was like you feel something and you just chalk it up to normal, Yeah. So I can definitely identify with that. And
Yeah, I
I'm
mean,
guessing your parents didn't make a big deal of it, right? I mean, it sounds like it was just, because
they
they didn't know either.
so once they found out, I believe 12 years old. I had a couple of seizures, and then that led to me going to a neurologist who diagnosed me, and then that led to sort of they put a couple of restrictions on me. I was still allowed to wrestle, so I was wrestling sophomore year of high school. I collided heads with this guy who was like a D1 football player who cut weight down, and I was the scrawny little 170 pounder who was a 165 pounder jumping up a weight. And we just butt heads in the middle of the mat, and I was winning the match before that, but I was out, and so from then on, it sort of changed. My parents' perspective changed pretty drastically. It was, oh, this is a non-event, this is a non-issue. You can sort of do what you want. We'll put the restrictions on you that our doctors have put on you, and that kind of shifted to, we're going to try to restrict you from everything. I still ended up going back into wrestling. I still wrestled in college and all, but they were not very happy about that.
I mean, hey, I can identify with that too. Obviously growing up, it was like, oh, you want to play football? No. How about band? Oh, you want to play basketball where you're banging into people all the time? No. How about choir? But I still skateboarded. I still snowboard to this day. And up until about 3 years ago, I did all of it without a helmet. So, that one slipped through the cracks. So
Wow.
I totally get it. You kind of, you want to feel normal, man. You want to just want to do your thing, and so, I get it.
It was a similar thing for me. Like after my surgery, I was like, you know what? Like I wrestled before, I'm going to wrestle after. Like it is what it is,
Come on, it's fun. Let me do it. Yeah. Honestly, I kind of feel like, any of us that grew up in the 80s, 90s, whatever, like, how are we still here at all anyway? Like all the crazy stuff we did and got away with it, so yeah, crazy stuff. But so did you now, because Chiari is not visible, I mean, obviously invisible condition, right? So we, did you ever, if people found out, if teachers found out, if classmates or friends or whatever, did you ever feel like misunderstood? Was there like an emotional component to that was like, kind of crazy, or was it all pretty much just business as usual?
I mean, I kind of became known as like the kid who had brain surgery. It really didn't run too much deeper than that. I positioned it so that it happened like first thing in the summer, and I kind of lost like the summer between sophomore year and junior year of high school, and like when I came back, it was still this big scar, and like I wasn't allowed to like turn my head and all of that, and I was kind of walking around and sorry, and so I he said he can't hear you, but yeah, like I was definitely the kid who had brain surgery, but it didn't really change anything. It just kind of added on to it just sort of added a label onto me, if you understand.
Yeah, I gotcha. Yeah, I mean, but it didn't really it doesn't sound like it affected you any more than it affected me. I mean, it's you're just a normal kid doing your thing, and oh yeah, by the way, that kid had brain surgery. Wow, okay, well,
like a couple of drop draws, like, oh, that's why you weren't around that entire summer. Oh, okay,
right. Yeah. No, I get that. I did get that a little bit. In fact, I had this is funny. I had a buddy of mine. I'm really wanting to get him on the show too. I've known this guy since we were in like second grade, and the brain surgery I had when I was 18, right after high school. He thought I was going to have to, because it's brain surgery, right? So he's like, you're going to have to shave your head. It's going to look funny, So he's like, I don't know where he got maybe I said it because I didn't know if I was going to have to or not. But he comes in the room after, and I'm in the recovery room or whatever. And he comes he pokes his head around the corner. He shaved his head bald. He completely shaved his head bald to support me, right? Like, I'm like, oh, well, isn't that cool? But I felt bad because they didn't shave anything. They cut a little hair right here where the scar is, but that was it. So he looked around the corner and said, oh, what? You know, he's like, I'm a cue ball here. You have a full head of hair. So yeah, so it's funny. You know, most of the time it's no big deal, but that was kind of funny. So,
Yeah, and I had a couple of friends who kept coming by to visit, and one of them like snuck a whole Wii. Like it was like a whole combined effort. Like one brought a Wii in, one brought a TV in,
nice.
and like positioned it up on the. They didn't have to sneak it in, by the way. This was like
no, probably not.
But they like felt the need to turn it into like this whole operation, and they would always sneak it out with them because the nurses couldn't see, and it was like a whole thing.
Yeah.
But no, so having people there with you is definitely nice.
Oh man, yeah, it's huge, and yeah, I mean, it's just nice to know that people can identify with you in some level, and it's just support. It's so nice to have that support. So
yeah, I mean that's sort of, I think, the attracting factor of what sort of brought me on here is to sort of give the message of there is a support system if you have some sort of invisible condition. It's not like if you tell people, they're going to look at you and say, oh, you're lying. When people care about you, when people love you, like it's not that simple. They're there for you. They believe you, they trust you, and they're going to hear you. So that's kind of the whole entire message that I'm trying to push out here.
Well, it's all, I agree totally 100%, by the way, with that statement. And even further than that, they want to help you. I mean, I know people say it all the time. Well, if you need anything, let me know. I mean, but people, especially with brain surgery, right? It's like, what can I possibly do to help? But they want to help. So many people want to help, and they just don't know how. So, yeah, I think that's a big thing out there with surgery in general, but especially with brain surgery. It's like they just don't know what to do. So if you can help them in that, you'll get all the help you need, man. They're just dying. They're clamoring to help you. So, yeah, even if it doesn't feel like it, I think it might not feel like it because they just don't know how.
Exactly. And especially like with invisible conditions, you sort of like, I don't know if this is the right word for it, but I felt guilty, like making the people around me have to, pay money to help me with my brain surgery, put time and effort into bringing me to the hospital, and even just felt guilty over making them worry. And it was just the wrong way to approach it. Like they wanted to help me. They wanted to be there for me and support me. And they were, and I am who I am today because of that,
Yeah. Right. Well, and about feeling guilty. I mean, I get that, but I turned that around pretty quick, that part, because it was like, look, they're going to do what they're going to do. And if they want to, feel guilty or feel bad for you or whatever, you can't control what somebody else does. You can only respond to what they do with your best response, with your attitude, but because I had some of that too, it's like people ask silly questions and, or don't really know what to do. So they try to make something up and it sounds really weird or, so it's just, I don't know what to do. What's that?
I said, I do know. I've gone through a very similar thing.
Yeah. It's almost like you want to say, okay, it's okay. It's better if you it's okay not to talk. Really, it's okay. Just, I get it. You're here. You love me. I love you. It's cool. Just, shh. So no, it's cool though. Support is always good. So I'm glad you had that, man. That's huge. Especially during that time frame in life, especially, I mean, that's a big impactful time in life too. So I'm so glad you got to go through that with some support. So that's awesome.
Trust me, so am I.
Yeah. Right. I mean, like you said, you wouldn't be the person you are today without it. So it's a huge deal. So, well, awesome. I'll tell you what, man, time flies, man. And we're already 20 minutes in. We're going to go to a short break. Okay. And then after that, we'll come back. We're going to talk about, just how it's been, overcoming like some of the challenges you have to overcome, what you're doing now, despite what you've been through, so yeah, let's let's do that. Let's go for a break just for a second, and then everybody stick around. Don't go anywhere though. Stay there, and rest of the story's coming. We'll see you in a couple of minutes.
Does your to-do list have you feeling stressed? Does your list include tasks like responding to email and phone calls, collecting forms and paperwork, and sending quotes and invoices? Have you been neglecting posting updates to your social media accounts, email newsletters, or content on your website? Maybe you need help to get digitally organized. I'm Selena, one of the owners at Office Mercenary, and we're a US-based virtual assistant agency. We can take care of all of these tasks and more so you can get back to focusing on the things you love about your business. Our team is happy to work with you and your individual needs. So schedule a call with us, bring your to-do list, and stop doing the tedious tasks.
In a world where office workers typically receive 130 daily emails and have an 8-second attention span, CoreCentrica, with her 4 decades of international marketing experience, has partnered with the Learning Code Institute and their 30 years of neuroscientific research. Together, we are crafting unique messaging strategies that resonate, connect, and ultimately convert our target audiences. CoreCentrica, where award-winning creativity and disruptive neuroscience come together. Scan this code now, or call and click, and let us show you how CoreCentrica's partnership with the Learning Code Institute is influencing how businesses connect with their audience, foster engagement, and achieve conversions.
Hi, Eva Black-Occurrence here, and I am the host of One Punch Superstars, where we meet real people who chose to fight for their hopes and their dreams and become the champions of their destiny. You can find us on Achieve TV every Tuesday and Wednesday at noon Mountain Standard Time, right here on E360 TV.
All right. That was a close one. Almost. I got out of the chair for a second. Woo! All right. Welcome back, everybody. So we are talking with Alex, and man, Chiari Malformation is kind of a crazy thing, because I've talked to several people that have heard of it, some that haven't, some that have like live with the, it on a daily basis, and the stories are all different. And this is a really cool one, because you have gotten away with doing some really cool stuff despite having Chiari, and it's really cool, and your story is really cool. And can you just trying to think, like, well, first of all, so leading up to all of this, like you're in New York now, you're going to school at NYU, and you're working, and like, what does life look like now? I mean, because you're not really having any complications with it now. Like you've been good to go for a little while, right? So
yeah, and I mean, so life now is fairly normal. It's, I wake up, I have a couple of, I try to schedule myself with some networking events and some meetings super early in the morning, 6 to 7 o'clock. Then I have classes that start at 9. I usually try to be done with classes by 11. I'm in the office by 11:15, 11:30. I'm there until 5:36. Then normally, like, I stop working at 5. I transition to homework and relaxing, and then I head to my classes. and I'm usually back in my apartment later than that, probably around 8. Some of those classes on the later end can be held on Zoom, so I don't always go to those, and sometimes I just take those over the weekend, sort of figure out what time allocation makes the most sense for me, and Chiari really only plays into effect on any of those super long days. Wake up super early, working all day, work out in the end of the day, and before I was talking about that pressure buildup and how that's one of the 2 main causes of pain. At this point, if I were to rapidly turn my head, I would feel it. I would be aware that, like, it's really weird to describe, and I don't have a better way to say it other than you can sort of feel right here. But with that pressure buildup, after a super long day, it's just like, okay, I'm gonna rest now. You can feel the pressure. You feel like a little bit of pain behind the eyes, and it's nothing debilitating. It's nothing that I haven't lived with my entire life, and it's nothing that's going to stop me from doing the things I need to do. But it's just sort of a reminder that it's there.
Yeah,
which is okay.
Yeah. No, it's good. Sometimes that reminder's okay because it's almost like a built-in limit. Like, and cut. You gotta. Sometimes that's okay. I'm kind of thankful for that. I've got that built in too over the last few years, and because I was the guy that was doing 14, 16-hour days and not getting the sleep that I need, not eating all day till I get home, and all the things, and that's right. Yeah. And that's not good, by the way. Don't do that, whether you have a condition or not. That's not good to do.
You can get all of your nutrients in one. No, by the way, for all the viewers, do not do that. It is not good. I have many people telling me how unhealthy my eating habits are. But one meal, it's one giant meal. You don't have to cook 3 times a day. It's cheaper. It's easier.
All right. Well, you can get away with that for as long as you can. It will last forever. But yeah, more power to you. Oh man. Well, so how does your perspective change? Like before so you knew that was like, this is just normal. And now, you've got something that's causing that. That's like, okay, now, did that change your perspective drastically, or was it just, oh, all right, well, that's just, there it is.
It was a little bit reassuring, once I there was sort of a time in between me finding out that I had this and me finding out that nobody else has the type of pain that I had. Like, it was starting to, like, I would finish a workout when I was, in middle school, and I would say to my friend, oh, my head hurts so much, doesn't yours? And they would say, no, it doesn't. And then sort of getting the perspective shift of, okay, maybe something's going on, something's a little weird. And then now it's just kind of reassuring to know it's sort of just one of life's things, and it's not going to get any worse. It is what it is, and I'm okay with it,
Yeah. No, it's good. That's great. That's a good perspective, man. Speaking of perspective, I mean, has there been any unexpected positive outcomes from your experience with Chiari, surgery, all the things?
Yeah, I mean, that's sort of why I'm in the 2 positions that I'm in today. And when I say those 2 positions, I'm talking psychology and being an insurance agent. Initially I went to NYU with the intention to do sort of what the guy who did my surgery did and be a neurosurgeon. And I very quickly realized that life was not for me. And so I transitioned off to psychology, where, I was planning to be a clinical psychologist, and then looking at sort of the career track, school tracks of those routes. It's a minimum of 4.5 years. I wanted to do a PsyD program, which is a 4-year program, plus there's like a half-year study in that you have to do, and that is definitely appealing to me. That's definitely the end goal, and finding insurance has been really cool for me because I get to meet with people and protect them, and sort of, I understand that accidents can happen, and sort of what happened to me, it puts me in a pretty unique position where I can say, look, I've lived through sort of these conditions that I'm talking about, what our plans can protect you from. I get it. This is how we can help. And it sort of primes me to, genuinely care and help for the people that I'm meeting with and working with.
That's really cool. I love that perspective because you're right. It does position you very uniquely in the marketplace to say, I get it, because that's dangerous. You don't want to say that unless you actually do. So, you can't. So yeah, that's really cool. And when we talked before, you said something about this. I don't know. This is for free, everybody. This is a bonus. You were talking about the kind of psychology practice you would want to open. And I thought it was fascinating. Like that you were talking about, like not sitting in a stuffy office, across the table from somebody. Like, what are you planning to do?
Yeah, so I do want to be very clear about that. It's the exact same, like it's not changing the conversation that you're having, and it's the exact same. No. I know.
Yeah.
But
I get
it. It's the exact same clinical approach. But I'll just give you a little bit of backstory as to what led me to what I'm about to say. I work as a residential counselor up in Vermont. So my dad lives out there, summers, vacations, all that good stuff. I'm out there. And a lot of the residents there are not your typical, they have some sort of malfunction that's causing them to not be able to live independently. So it brings them in. We don't run a group home, but we do run a residency for people that are, unable to live on their own. And we sort of help them get to a point where they have the life skills to live independently. And so a lot of them have had very negative experiences with therapy. And so whenever, you put them in an office sitting across from another person, it just doesn't work. So sort of what I'm hoping to do at some point is, I don't even know if it has a name. I've taken multiple of my residents to what I'm going to call tree therapy, which is, walks through the woods and you have a backyard. Legitimately, we just drove to this guy's house. He had a backyard with a bunch of animals. He had chickens. He had dogs, he had cats all running around. You play with them, you pull up 2 chairs out in the woods, and you have the exact same conversation that you would have in a psychologist's office, and you just have it outside. You just change the environment. You sort of displace all of those negative emotions and experiences that occurred with regular being in an office, being in a therapist's office and in a psychologist's office, and you just sort of dispel those negative emotions and you sort of reframe it. And it just allows, a new approach, a new type of conversation. And it's just a way to reframe it.
I love that. I think that's so cool. We've got a good friend that's a Christian clinical psychologist, and she does something. She does like an intensive thing. Like you go for like 4 or 5 sessions, a little longer sessions, but at the end you've got the tools, right? And and so it's a little different model, but she's starting to do stuff like on location, like destination, like go somewhere pretty, get out of your same kind of concept. Get out of your regular environment, get out of your normal space that is, maybe some of it's triggering some of the stuff that you need to talk about, so go somewhere tropical, go somewhere cool, and figure it out there. So I love that approach. I think that's really cool.
And I think that's really cool that I've never heard of anything like destination, but that's an incredible idea.
Yeah, I don't remember if I've introduced you to her, but I'll do that. I'll do a 3-way intro on email or something for you, because she's we met her back in 2008, and she's just gotten just exponentially more awesome since then. So she's doing some great things. So yeah, I'll definitely introduce you after we're done. But I love you're doing something similar, man. You're just taking them out of that environment and saying, you know what, let's just chill. No, there's no office. Don't worry. We're just two people having a conversation in the woods, So I love that. I think that's going to be hugely successful. So
hopefully we'll see how that plays out. But I'm definitely excited.
Hey, unique if nothing else. You don't hear that very often. So it's really cool. So right on. And so having journey that you have had, which is obviously everybody's journey is unique, but in what ways have you found like that you have found resilience, come through that, like come through your journey, like where that you didn't expect,
Honestly, I like that. That's a really good question, and it's a little difficult to answer because to me, resiliency isn't something that you sort of discover or find. It's something that you sort of have, and that in those moments when you need it, it's just there. And it's to me, it's really in the middle of one of those long days, you're in the middle of a wrestling practice and your head starts to hurt. You keep going. You're cramming for a midterm the next day for a class that you missed a couple of classes and you got to go review multiple weeks worth of material, and you got to pull an all-nighter before, and your head starts to hurt, and it's just keep going. It's I don't know if there's a specific. Definitely, the people around me have obviously helped build up sort of who I am and how I'm able to sort of persevere through those things. But we're just doing it. I don't know if that's a good answer or not, but it's just
no, that's good.
Yeah, it's just the next step,
It's kind of like a friend of mine in business over the last couple of years. His phrase that he says a lot is launch and adjust. Launch and adjust.
I like that, yeah.
Like it's not always going to be perfect, but you got to keep going. So launch. You're moving forward, and if you need to adjust something. At least you're moving forward.
Yeah, I love that idea.
Yeah, so that's good. Or I've kind of adopted that a little bit too, and it comes in handy because you can't always have it perfect before you start something sometimes. So, yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. We're gonna go do one more break. We're at that time, so we're gonna go to one more break, and then we'll come back and we're gonna. In the last part of the show, we'll have about 15 minutes left, and what I'd like to talk about is, we can touch on kind of some of the stuff you're doing now, and maybe how people can get in touch with you if they're interested in learning more, and then obviously we want to talk about hope. That is one of my favorite subjects, and in this environment on this type of show, hope. It's just huge. If you don't have hope, you're dead in the water already. Honestly, going through what you've gone through, what I've gone through, what a lot of people have gone through, it's a huge deal. So, we'll touch on that when we come back. And thank you for being here. By the way, this is cool. I'm so glad we're getting this story out here. So,
thanks for having me, and
thanks for hanging out, Alex. And we'll see you, everybody, here in just a couple minutes again.
Hi, I'm Jake, co-founder and CEO of One Hope. My friends and I started this company in 2007 out of the back of this truck on a mission to enrich people's lives through wine. Today, we've grown into a state-of-the-art Napa Valley winery that proudly houses a portfolio of award-winning wines which have touched lives through over 40,000 nonprofits at home and around the globe. And it's happening every day. Being rooted in local communities and contributing to initiatives that uplift neighborhoods, celebrate cultures, and promote community. It's what got us here. You see, through every bottle sold, your purchase can make a direct impact on the causes you care about. One Hope's cause of choice has given back over $10 million and counting.
Hey, how you doing? My name is Greg Russell. I'm the host of TechnologyTuesday.com. You can find us on the Conscious Business TV network every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the latest resources to help you make more money in your business. Join us on E360 TV. Come on.
All right. Welcome back, everybody. And we're already here, man. We're already at almost the end of the show. This is crazy. Time flies when you're having fun. Now, I am wondering, so there, especially in a world like yours and mine and so many other people that have lived with conditions that can be tough sometimes, I mean, it's different for everybody, but one of the common threads is it can be tough sometimes. On one of those long days, on one of those tough days, it's like, head's hurting and you're, how do you, and going through the, finding out of what was going on and everything, how do you find hope on those type of days?
I think it just goes back to the resiliency that you were talking about. It's, I know that I'm the type of person, and I'm the type of person that is just going to get through it. I don't know if hope is exactly the right word for what I find in those moments, but I know it's just sort of become a fact to me that the next morning is going to come. And the next morning is going to be, I'm going to wake up, I'm going to feel great, I'm going to get started on my day. And it's just continuously having the next morning and then the next morning. And it's just sort of a continuous process of just stringing those all together. And in those tough moments, just knowing sort of as a concrete fact, it's going to be okay,
Yeah. Nice. I like it. And one other question that's kind of related, is there anything that you can think of over the years that you've gone through that you're thankful for now?
I'd say this whole thing, without Chiari, without having sort of the surgery and what I went through, I would not be at NYU. I would not be studying psychology. I would not be an insurance agent. It has brought me to where I am. And I think, having to go through what I had to go through has sort of put me in a position where I can get through most things, there's really no situation that I've been in that I didn't expect to be able to get out of,
Yeah. Yeah. It kind of shows you who you are, isn't it? It's like, oh yeah, no big deal. There was a, that reminds me of I don't remember who it was. Oh yeah. Casey is her name. She was on in season 1, and she had this amazing quote right here. I've survived 100% of my hard days so far. Right? You're still here. It's or this one. This is the other good one I like that I've held on to. This is a little more recent, but yesterday was my only hard day.
I like that a lot too.
It's over. It's today now. So yeah, I love that. And it so resonates with anybody, but especially those with invisible conditions that they live with every day. I mean, it's in there every single day, So, well, I tell you what, I know you said you're not the expert, and it's not, I don't know everything about it, but are you? I mean, you gave us I think it's your Facebook page that we'll have in your show note. Is that what it was? I can't remember. I think that's what it was.
I think it was my LinkedIn.
LinkedIn. Okay.
Because since our first meeting and now, I have created a Facebook, but I don't think I had a Facebook when I was first talking to you.
Okay. All right. That was my mistake. I couldn't remember what it. I looked at and I thought I saw Facebook.
They're the same color. It's one letter on the app. They're similar enough that it's.
I know. So LinkedIn. So would you? I mean, I don't want to presume or anything. I don't want to say everybody reach out to Alex if you have questions. But
I'll drop my email. I'll drop my email, and please, if anybody wants to talk, I'm very open to, shoot me an email, shoot me a message on my LinkedIn. I'm available.
All right.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, all right. Yeah. I mean, so do you want to give that to me and I'll put it in the show notes later, or do you want to just
Sure. I'll drop it in the chat right now, and you can
drop in that private chat, and I'll just put it on the screen, and people can just do it that way. That'd be great. And then if people, I love that because really you know better than anybody. I mean, people that live with that condition are going to be the best ones to to ask about it. So I appreciate that. It's always good to have more resources. So
and one of the things that we were talking about before, very briefly, is sort of that guilt that you feel with an invisible condition, because it's at some points there were times where it always felt like I knew my head hurt, but maybe it doesn't hurt as much as the pain scale that I had to put it on actually indicated, and maybe I don't need to be, and it's just sort of, you build up this guilt and this oh, this is my fault or something like that. But sort of, and I didn't have anyone else that I knew that had a condition like this. I didn't even know that spaces sort of like the one we're in right now existed until I met Zach, who brought me on that podcast. And so sort of having somebody to talk to and to say, what you're going through is legitimate, is, other people have gone through it. They understand the position you're in, and they're happy to talk and help. I think that's incredibly important. So I'm open to talking to whoever.
Awesome. Well, and you bring up a good point, and Zach Clayton is the guy you're talking about, and he's phenomenal. I absolutely love Zach. He is one of my favorite people on the planet, and he's got he's got more than one podcast. I mean, this guy, I don't know how he does it. This guy's an animal. I think he just lives on Red Bull and Twinkies or something. He just keep going all the time. But if anybody wants to reach out to Zach, he's a really cool guy too. I think his organization is called Community Pay It Forward, is one of his. So if anybody's interested, that's where we met, was on the podcast that he did. We were doing something for brain injury awareness in March, and so that was really cool. So yeah, thank you for being open to that, man. If anybody has questions, there's the email, and just check it out. So nice. So what is going on in the future for you? What do you got? What's future's so bright you got to wear shades? Is that the deal?
That's the hope. So honestly, I was talking before about how the end goal is to be a clinical psychologist out in the woods. That's
nice.
Way down the line. The more time that I spend at Aflac, the more I love what I'm doing, and the more that it's going to be difficult for me to step away. And it's a combination of doing something that I'm genuinely interested in and feel like is having a positive impact on people. It's it's a little bit the money. I won't sugarcoat that. Like it's it's good money, and stepping out of insurance into psychology is definitely going to be a step down, and I'm 100% okay with that at some point. So the more time I spend in insurance and the more time that I spend in school, I realize I don't want to be in school. I want to be out there working. I want to be, doing what I love doing. So the more time I think I'm going to stick with Aflac, and my this is obviously not going to happen. This is the ideal path for myself. And, life is life. Things are going to change. Things are going to happen. But, if everything goes according to plan, 15 years down the line, I go back to a PsyD program, and I become a clinical I become a clinical psychologist, and that's 15 years down after sort of building up a residual income with Aflac.
Oh, there you go.
And continuing Aflac lightly on the side, but really honing in on that practice.
That's brilliant, man. Yeah, get that residual income built up a little bit, and then you can help whoever you need to, man. Then you wouldn't have to get right, because that's the idea. Is you're doing it for the right reasons. You want to help people, and sometimes it's hard to help people if you have to get paid.
Yeah,
Right. So,
I don't want to have to charge everybody, you know, $200 for a session. You know, out here in New York City, there's, you know, like a couple of my friends were interning at with psychologists who are charging, you know, $200 to $400 for a session, and it's and you know, there are cheaper options. Like, people are making a conscious choice to go to the more expensive ones because
Sure.
they're established professionals and all that. So I don't want to, you know, bash on that.
Oh no, yeah, no.
But it's at the same time, I want to be extremely accessible, and I don't want to have to charge those high end rates to get by. I want to have, you know, built a base for myself, and then at that point be able to say, okay, let's, whoever comes through my door, whatever their situation is, let's talk.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, that's the way to do it, man. And that's kind of, you know, speaking of psychology, that's kind of how our the person I was talking to you about earlier, that's got that intensive model, that's how she kind of does. She's like, you know, at the time that we saw her back in 2008, it was kind of like a pay what you can kind of thing, because she knew that, you know, not everybody could do, you know, hundreds and thousands of dollars for help like that, you know. And so, and I think it has served her well over the years. I mean, obviously she's more successful now than she was then, in what she's doing, and I think that's a big part of it. So I think that approach is brilliant. You're right on track, man. That's going to help a lot of people.
The more you talk about this other person, I definitely want to meet her.
She's been on the show, by the way. Her name's Pauline. She's been on the show a couple times, actually. So yeah, we could. I'll definitely introduce you to her. And by the way, if you guys are interested in seeing more from Pauline, she was on the show, I think, in season 2, and then she was in our season 1 finale, or maybe she was in season, I don't know. Anyway, Pauline Dillard is her name. Look her up on a past show. It was a great show, and I am forever indebted to her for what she helped our family with. So she's phenomenal. So I can't wait to introduce you to her. But anyway, yeah, hey man, we are about out of time. So is there any last thing you want to leave in the last, like, for about 60 seconds? Do you have any last parting words for our audience?
I think it's really just honing in the message that nobody's alone. Like, you know, with my condition, you know, it really felt like like I couldn't talk about it. I wasn't sort of okay. I wasn't right. And it's sort of like that I'm talking a lot about it. I get that, but that guilt factor sort of built up. And just, you know, meeting other people who have had the same experiences is incredibly important. Understanding that, you know, you're not alone. What goes on in your head is very legitimate. And please, you know, tell the people around you. If you want to reach out to me, you're always free to. But you know, the people that are around you, that love you, that care for you, they're always going to be there, no matter what. They want to help you. That's sort of the message I want to leave with.
100%. It's true. It's sometimes they just don't know how. So you gotta let them, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly, man. I appreciate it. Thank you so much, Alex, for being here and for just being open, you know, to talk about all this stuff and get the word out and give some people some hope. And I mean, I hope people reach out to you. I really do. I think it'd be hugely valuable. Wherever, you know, whatever, 5-10 years from now, they watch this show and go, oh yeah, you know, I need somebody that, you know, can help me with this or that, you know, this is part of why we do this stuff, you know. So I really hope that you realize some benefit from this and are able to help some people. So
yeah, once again,
so thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I appreciate you taking the time to have me.
Awesome. All right, man. Thank you. Okay, man. I love stuff like that. It's so cool. You know, people doing awesome things despite going through some crazy things. You know, it's really cool, and I love what he's doing with the psychology stuff, and it's going to be great. So watch for him about 10 years from now, man. It's going to be great. All right, everybody. Now, for those of you that have been watching for a while, thank you. For those of you who are new, if this is your first time watching, I appreciate you being here. Thank you very much. And if you have a favorite episode. If you found one you really like, it really resonates with you, share it. It's probably somebody else's too, or it will be if they see it, right? Or if this is your new favorite episode, share it. It'll probably be somebody else's too. So I appreciate you being here. Thank you so much for sharing the episodes and being here and watching and spending this time with me. Join us again for the next show, which is Tuesday, May 14th. And until then, have an amazing day.